Hey, it's Ayla, and you are listening to Not That Kind of CEO. In today's episode of A Fantastic Female Friday, we have the wonderful Sarika with us. And when we first talked about getting her on the podcast, I doubted because one of the things she speaks a lot about is sake, the Japanese wine. And as this is a business podcast, I was like, maybe not. Like, do I want to speak about wine on a podcast? But there is a layer behind this. Sarika did not just get into Japanese wine. She actually made a very impressive transformation from being a respected professional within a large worldwide organization to following her own path on a whim of her own intuition. And she turns out to be one of those entrepreneurs that just does something and then goes, oh, I could make a business out of this. And then she does it and she wins awards. So that's pretty amazing. If you are at all into stories about how people get into business and how they make decisions for their business and how to make everything just run like you would want it to run, like it would fit you as a business owner and not just what society thinks business owners should do. If you are into inspiring stories about big life changes and successful entrepreneurship, then this episode is definitely one that you'd want to hang out for. So, without further ado, I'm going to play the interview with Sarika and I'm going to post all her links in the show notes because I'm sure that after you listen to this, you're going to want to check her out. Enjoy the interview with Sarika. Hi, I'm Ayla, and I am not that kind of CEO. You won't find me in a fancy corner office, but rather in a quiet corner of my home. I followed a bold vision and built my life and business around it. That's how I ended up in France, where I'm raising two little girls, renovate our 500-year-old castle together with my husband, run a coaching business, and still have space to breathe. After a decade of helping women simplify their business to make room for what matters most, I created this show to help you do the same. Let's build your business around the life you love. Welcome to Not That Kind of CEO. Today's guest didn't just change careers, she changed her definition of success, identity, and freedom. While raising two kids and listening to a quiet inner voice that most of us are taught to ignore. She went from working at United Nations, a path that looks impressive on paper and feels safe to the outside world, to becoming an entrepreneur rooted in soul, purpose, and preservation. She's on a mission to protect a 2,000-year-old Japanese sake tradition that's slowly disappearing, while also building a business that gives her freedom as a mother and a woman. This conversation is not about quitting your job tomorrow or blowing up your life, but it's about what happens when the version of success you've outgrown starts feeling heavy, when your intuition keeps whispering, even though your brain wants certainty, and when you're trying to build something meaningful without losing your family or yourself in the process. If you've ever felt pulled towards something that doesn't make logical sense yet feels deeply right, this episode is for you. Sarika, I'm so glad you're here. You've had a career that many people would call like the dream. But when did it start feeling for you like it wasn't actually a dream anymore? And what did that feel like in your body and in your daily life?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you, Ayla, for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you. And wow, what an introduction. I was.
I'm glad you liked it.
What an amazing summary. It sounds so great. I wouldn't have able to do that myself. So
Oh,
thank you.
you're welcome. It's true. Like it's an impressive move you've made, and that's not something that a lot of people would. As I said, it's something that looks very impressive and it feels safe, and that's not something a lot of people would leave behind, and yet you did that. So that's amazing.
Well, actually, it's not that amazing. It's the funny thing is that, yeah, when I was resigning, a lot of my colleagues and bosses were saying, "Are you? "Sure? Are you crazy? What plan do you have?" I said, "I've got no plan." And they were, "What?" But to me, it felt like the right thing to do, and which is strange because at that time, I was so right now I'm more balanced, but I used to be like super logical and, kind of a different kind of mindset. But still, I felt that, oh, I think it's time. First of all, everyone has their dream job. And for me, it was for sure kind of stemming from my bringing as a Japanese girl, or, well, I'm sure also in Europe, there are, gender inequality everywhere in the world, unfortunately. But Japan, unfortunately, even in the year 2025, it's one of the worst in the so-called industrialized nation. But when I was growing up, so that's ages, decades ago, I always had this question in my mind, like, so odd that girls can't do this. And so it was always like, okay, I want to change something. I want to make a positive change in terms of, girls and boys being more equal. And at that time, I thought United Nations is the perfect organization or the platform to do that. And yeah, so that's how I joined. And I thought I had my dream job. I did it for 10 years. And eventually, well, within that 10 years, in the early stages, I got luckily a permanent appointment, which is super rare. And that's actually the time when for the first time, I realized, wait, permanent. It feels all of a sudden like it was my dream job, and all of a sudden, with that permanent appointment, it was like, "Am I actually gonna do this until I'm 62?" And it kind of, a completely different question hit me that all of a sudden I felt like it's in a way, it's like the golden handcuffs.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I realized I felt so scared, and it's so ironic because I worked so hard for this dream job and, going through all this process of exams and etc. But when I got this so-called good news, that's actually ironically the time I realized I questioned myself. Everyone's celebrating, saying it's amazing, but all of a sudden I got this cold feet thinking, I don't actually know if I want to do this for 40 years or until I'm 62 in my life. And I felt all of a sudden like, no, actually it's not. But that was in the beginning. And it never resurfaced. That thought happened maybe in the first 2 years. But you know, everything was busy, things were exciting, and I never questioned it until like almost 10 years in. There were all of a sudden I thought, wait, now it's almost 10 years. And do I really? It was I don't know, it's hard to explain this feeling, but like intuitively, even though I wasn't that kind of, intuitive person, but I just felt like, okay, I think I've done what I could do, and I feel like something more fun is waiting for me actually. And I could still accomplish the same mission, but I didn't have any plans. But I thought I have to, if I do it like partially, like part time, I wouldn't normally, I can't get into it like fully. So
Yeah.
I thought I could always come back, at that time I thought, and I thought, okay, let's just try and see what happens. So that's, yeah, the answer to your question in terms of how or why I decided that change.
Can I tell you something real for a second? If you've signed up for yet another planner, a strategy, challenge, or a system lately, quietly hoping that this one will finally make things click, you're not doing anything wrong, but you are trying to solve the wrong problem. Most women think that they need a better strategy, a better plan, better time management. But that's like buying new running shoes and hoping that you'll suddenly win the marathon. Shoes aren't the issue, it's the runner that needs upgrading. And it seems like no one ever tells us that. If you're a mom building a business, you are already doing so much. You're thinking a lot, you're carrying a lot, and piling more external tools on top of that just creates more pressure, more guilt, and more why can't I make this work? So here's what actually changes everything. When you understand yourself so deeply that you could throw any strategy at your life and make it work because it finally fits you. It fits your energy, your patterns, your season, your reality as a mother, as a business owner. That is what my free challenge is about. It's called Where the Fuck Should I Even Start? Because that's very often the problem. Sitting down at your computer with so much drive and so much ambition, and then just going, "Oh, I don't even know where I should start." Well, let me tell you, we're not starting by fixing you. We're not starting by giving you another system to keep up with, but we're helping you reset your brain, your vision, your focus, your direction from the inside out. And by the end of the challenge, 5 days, you'll have an actual 30-day plan that feels doable. Not because it's perfect, not because it has the perfect strategy, but because it's aligned with how you work. So if you're tired of fighting yourself and you're ready for clarity, for balance, for momentum that doesn't cost you your family or your sanity, I'd love to have you in. You can find everything about the WTF challenge through the link in the show notes. And just so you know, this is not about doing more. It's about finally working with yourself instead of against yourself. See you there. What's so impressive to me is that you've mentioned a few times now that you had no plan, yet you gave it up. And I think that there's a lot of women out there who are feeling this like inner nudge to do something like anything else. But they also have the other side of the balance where they're like, nah, I have kids, I have responsibilities. They have a real fear of not being able to make money, not being able to take care of their families, stuff like that. So how did you actually trust that inner feeling that said, you know what, I don't actually want to be doing this until I'm 62, and go out without a plan instead of just making a plan first, like many of us would? How did you learn to trust that voice?
Well, actually, that's such a funny question because in hindsight, I should have probably had a plan. Probably that was more a smarter thing to do because everything takes time. But somehow I don't, it was because I was already saving some money throughout the 10 years. And I felt like, I think within 2 years, something definitely could happen. So I don't know. It was like a trust. Even in hindsight, it doesn't maybe sound so logical and it probably doesn't make sense. Like you said, I should have probably had a great plan and got into the plan. But yeah, somehow I felt like by having, maybe it's just kind of in my mind that I can't concentrate when there are 2 things in a way. So I just wanted to fully get into a different world, and I felt like I had to stop one so that I could fully jump into a new thing. And it doesn't make logical sense as I say this, but I knew it would be okay. And yeah, and I had savings from that time. So I thought, okay, I can survive for 2 years. And within 2 years, something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you say, like, I had to shut off one of the voices because you, right now, you can talk about face yoga. You can talk about sake making. You can talk about having a soulful business that's like purpose led. On the outside, it looks like you have many voices going on right now. It's not that you can easily be put into one beautiful, neat niche. I think you're very multi passionate.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm so multifaceted that it's been actually my struggle for the last couple of years
Yeah,
because
I hear that.
I started with my love for Japanese sake. Have you had sake?
I haven't. No, I know that we always get it offered if you're like in a Japanese restaurant, but I've actually I didn't realize I had it until you asked me. But I have like this little childhood trauma where my dad drank a lot of alcohol, and so when he would go out to a Japanese restaurant with his colleagues, he would be slammed afterwards. So I've always had this like negative feeling about it, that
Mhm, yeah.
that it's really very strong and that you shouldn't drink it or something. So that's why I never accepted it. But I'm just realizing that that's based on something from like when I was a very little kid. So I actually know nothing about it and I've never tried it. And maybe I should.
No, that's okay. You don't need to try it, but we do actually have non-alcoholic sake as well. It's just like fermented rice. It's a nutritious drink, but normally it is alcoholic of about like 15 to 18%. So it is.
Not even that strong.
Yeah, it's not that strong. It's kind of
Huh,
anyway.
funny.
Yeah, no, I'm not pushing you to try it, but you
But
could
that's
definitely.
funny how that works, and I honestly would have thought it was at least like 50% or something.
That's a lot of the misconception because we drink it in a small, like a shot glass, what looks
Yeah,
like a shot glass. So it's like people think it's like tequila or vodka,
exactly.
40%, 50%, but it's actually fermented, not distilled like the
So
spirits.
it's a rice wine then literally in terms of alcohol and the way it's made, it's an actual wine.
Exactly. It's fermented rice. It's the same family as beer and wine. But, yeah,
Um,
but no, I'm not pushing you to try it, but there is a non-alcoholic version, and you may like that one because I love it. And it's what we give, we have this Girls' Day tradition in Japan, and that's what we drink for kids, the non-alcoholic sake.
that's nice.
Anyway, I think we get off track. You were asking.
That's fine. I get off track all the time. Is it that because did you start this after your career at UN? Or
Yeah.
was it something that was already weaving through your life because you have the Japanese roots?
Oh, yeah, this is a interesting question because I actually, like you, I never loved sake. And the reason is quite similar to you because my grandfather is from the one of the largest sake production areas of Japan. And my grandfather was drinking really bad sake at that time. So I always thought sake is, oh, that's disgusting. I don't like this. So I never really loved sake at all until I was an adult. I mean, way, way afterwards. So I always thought it was something. I mean, I liked beer and wine and other drinks, but I thought sake, that's no, I don't like that. That's what I always thought because of my grandfather. Because at that time, Japan, when he was growing up or his time, Japan was poor, and after the war, it's like rice is such a precious commodity. So what they would do is dilute the real sake with like one third real sake and two-thirds would be just chemical toxic. Well, not toxic, but yeah, just chemical, just so that they can increase the quantity. And that's the
Yeah.
kind of sake my grandfather was drinking because that's what there was at that time. And that's
Yeah.
why I thought it was disgusting until I tried the really proper sake without any of these two-thirds chemical, God knows what added, and that's when wow, this is so completely different from my grandfather's sake, and what is it? So but again, I diverted. Your question was, did this happen? No, no, this was kind of just happened organically after I resigned, really. I mean, first I had this amazing encounter with sake that, as I said, I never loved sake, but there was this one time in Fukushima Prefecture. Have you been to Japan?
No, I've not.
You should definitely come because we were doing a family trip, and then in Fukushima, which is now sadly known for the nuclear disaster, but they actually produce amazing sake because it's a rice cultivating agriculture area,
Yeah.
and yeah, in the hotel where we were staying, a little local inn, they said, with our excellent local food, you want to try some local sake? And I was, oh, no, 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 no. Do you have like beer or wine? And they insisted that, oh, with our regional, local food, the best pairing is, of course, local sake. And I said, okay, okay, I'll be polite. Anyway, it's a small glass. So I said, to be polite, okay, I will try just one sip. And that one sip kind of changed my life in hindsight.
I can imagine.
But yeah, to answer your question, so that kind of all happened after I resigned. It was like a sign, but at that time, of course, when I discovered, rediscovered sake, of course, I didn't think to make it a business. I mean, I had really no idea about business. I've been in, bureaucracy, the world's biggest bureaucracy for 10 years. So absolutely no skills or training in business, and of course, I didn't think of making a business out of sake. I didn't know it was even possible. Just kind of gradually, yeah, it happened organically.
So what do you do with it? Do you brew it? Because I saw on your website also that you have beauty products with it in
Yeah,
it.
Absolutely.
So that blew my mind because I've never seen, like, I've heard like beer will make your hair grow faster, but I've never
Oh,
seen someone make a face mask out of like regular grape wine. So how do you come to make beauty products based on an alcoholic beverage? How does
yeah,
that work?
well, great question because yes, actually, so sake is fermented and it's full of actually moisturizing nourishment. But the reason is that once I kind of discovered this sake world that I had no idea about, and that's when I learned that this 2,000-year-old tradition was declining. So I thought, okay, I definitely want to, share how amazing sake is because there are so many people like me who really, or like you also, you and me, like the background is very similar that a lot of people's first taste or kind of experience, or rather, even what they heard about sake is so negative. And I thought, okay, definitely want to share the beauty of sake, but not necessarily just through drinking, because I share it through different ways, and I have a sake consultancy, and I teach sake. I certify people who want to be sake professionals, like sommeliers, and so I do that is one part. But then I realized a lot of people don't drink alcohol, and that's okay with me. So I thought, how else can I share the beauty of sake without, not necessarily as a drink, because it's way more than a drink. It's really, for me, an art and a craft. So much that amazing care and technique goes into sake brewing. It's really a craft. It's like really nurturing a baby, the fermentation process and everything. So I thought, okay, maybe there's a different way rather than as a drink. How else can I share it? And then, of course, I remember my grandma, and actually in Japan, it's quite normal that sake has been used for personal care, like geishas bathe in sake, this kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, because of all that moisturizing agents with the fermentation process. There's in sake, one of there it's only 4 ingredients. It's all 100% natural, and one of the ingredients is called koji, which is our national bacteria. I know it sounds strange, but this is bacteria, or koji is really, without koji there's no Japanese food because you've had miso, soy sauce, they're all thanks to the koji fermentation. So it's the same logic of the fermentation, and this is the one that gives you so much beauty benefits, this kojic acids.
Which explains why we don't bathe in like red wine because it's not in there because it's that special bacteria that you only find in sake.
Well, I'm sure there's benefits bathing in wine too. I haven't tried, but I'm
Not
sure
sure.
there
I think you'd get very purple if you tried.
it will be delicious while bathing. So yeah, that's why I thought, okay, I remembered my grandma like putting sake. She wasn't drinking the sake that my grandpa was drinking, probably for the same reason because it tasted pretty awful. But she was like putting it on yeah, hands, and she was like, "Oh, it makes your hands like very bright and soft." And I remember that. So, yeah, I started making my own DIY beauty products just for myself, not to sell. I didn't even know that's possible. About 10 years ago, I was living in Vietnam, and at that time, it's not just Vietnam, but all in Asia, including Japan. Unlike the EU, inside cosmetic, there's so much toxic stuff in there, like even bleach and God knows what chemicals. And I thought, rather than using this for me and my family, I rather just be putting coconut oil.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know what's inside, but coconut oil I can trust. So I started my DIY things, yeah, well, back for 10 years ago, and I started, experimenting. First, just 100% coconut oil, and I thought, "Oh, yeah, grandma's sake, let's pour some in." Lavender oil, so I've been experimenting, lots of course, failed experiments too, but I've been using it for myself, like, over 10 years. Just a casual conversation, actually. You mentioned your audience are female entrepreneurs, and so are mine. So I was at the female entrepreneurs, like a gathering. And then I was just having a casual conversation, just like we're having. And this woman that I was talking to, an amazing woman, she said she started her food business from her kitchen during COVID. That's when I also started my business during COVID, during the lockdown. And she was just telling me like how she started and now it's not a kitchen anymore. She actually has a manufacturer. And I was like, wow, how do you even do that? And when we were casually chatting, she was like, "Do you have a product that you want to sell?" And I said, "Actually, I never ever thought of selling it, but I have this, a sake DIY thing that I use for myself." And I I never thought about selling, but now you made me think, maybe if you did it in your kitchen and you managed to sell it. And she was, "Of course you can do it." And so she really encouraged me, but I had no idea because as you know, within the EU, in order to sell cosmetics, there's lots of
Yes.
bureaucracy that you can't just sell. You have to have the official safety assessment and then register it in a proper EU-wide network, etc. So I had no idea, but she said, "Well, I managed it with food, so I'm sure you can manage a way." She's in the UK, but I guess similar rules apply. And she was, "Yeah, try." I was so inspired by that conversation at dinner time, and I thought, "Okay, actually, that would be so exciting," because I realized this is a new way to share the amazingness of sake, like, beyond the drink. People not necessarily because I didn't wanna, like, just have sake as an alcoholic drink. It's just so much beyond that. It's a tradition, it's a craft, and finally, it was approved as a UNESCO World Heritage last December for the first
That's
time. So
cool.
yeah, so I thought, "Okay, I wanna try commercializing this," but I had no idea, so I was, like, Googling every day, researching, joining, like, Facebook groups that said natural cosmetics and, like, trying to get I had even no idea what to do next, but eventually, yeah, I managed to, have the safety assessment and then, uh, yeah, register it, and then, oh, finally, I was able to soft launch it, and amazingly, it eventually, within a year, it won the European Natural Beauty Awards.
Congratulations. That's really amazing. That's really amazing.
Oh, thank you. No, it feels like it still feels unreal.
Imagine, yeah. But what's funny to me is that you said like two things. You said that you met this woman at a gathering for female entrepreneurs,
Mhm. Yeah.
which means that you were already considering yourself an entrepreneur, even though you were not yet making this product and selling it.
Oh, because I was already doing sake, I was, doing my sake education
Okay,
and
that's
yeah, that's why
yeah,
yes, that's right, yeah.
yeah. And the other thing that you mentioned um, was there was a big shift that you made. You went from like a respected professional within a bureaucratic business, one of the biggest organizations in the world, and then you went to be like a beginner entrepreneur. So that's quite a big shift. But
Oh, yeah, it was a shock.
what's funny to me is that you clearly have an entrepreneurial mind because you
Mhm.
taste a sip of a drink and then you just immediately go, this tastes good. Can I do something with this business wise? Like that's so classical entrepreneur where you just do something random and you immediately start thinking about, oh, can I turn this into a business model? Can I profitize it? Like, how will I sell this? Is it, that's cool. So even though you were starting out like not as an entrepreneur as well, you make that shift. So how did it feel to shift from like being in the corporate world to being an entrepreneur and starting something for yourself?
Oh, it was a shock because I wasn't I didn't think through, as you know, I made the decision through intuition and I didn't really logically think through, but in a way that was probably a blessing because if I probably did an overthinking thing, I would have never taken this step, but yeah, no, it was a shock because when you have, title in a prestigious organizations, doors will open for you, but not if you're like a solopreneur starting up.
Nope.
It's like I call a place and, "Hi, I'm Sarika." It's like, Yes, Sarika from where? Sarika from Sarika. Like, "Oh, okay." Like, completely different response, right? I mean, you don't have a backup of a or a respected organization. So, yeah, I mean, it was so yeah, my first collaboration, I literally picked up the phone and called the Polish Vodka Museum because I felt that they had something very similar to in terms of struggles with the negative image and,
Yeah.
kind of overcoming that kind of negative image from the past to make it a more craft and boutique beverage. So I felt like vodka museum for sure. I think they're who I want to work with. But when I first called, it's like, who are you?
Yeah.
Whereas, in the past, in the UN, of course, if I write an email, I didn't call at that time, but when you write an email, you will normally get an instant well, you will
Yeah,
get
I
a,
can imagine.
positive, favorable response, but it was like no response in this case.
So how did you manage that internally? Because I think that for a lot of us out there, when you get a response like that, like, okay, and who are you? Where are you calling from? That feels almost like a rejection, even though they haven't even rejected you yet. But the fact that they're not sort of acknowledging the fact that you are an entrepreneur and that you are worth it to be listened to kind of feels like a rejection. So how did you handle that in the beginning?
I don't think I handled it well, but I was like, "What? How come nobody is, writing back to my
That's
wonderful."
good. That's like Delulu until it's true. Like, I'm very important. Why are you not writing me back? I think that's actually the perfect attitude.
So I think I tried again to the same kind of people, and I said, "I'm gonna be close by. I can pop in to have a chat." And somehow, eventually, yeah, they said, "Oh, okay, you can come in, and we could have a casual conversation." And when we met, and actually, the Polish Vodka Museum is run by two amazing Polish women, and we had this real when we actually talked in person and met in person over vodka, we had this connection that, oh yeah, Japanese sake and Polish vodka, it's like going through a similar struggle. So yeah, they became my first customer during the
That's so
pandemic.
cool.
But yeah, no, it wasn't, I mean, but it was, yeah, a struggle because I have no, business experience and no idea. It's like you're just literally trying, trying everything for the first time.
So basically, what you're describing on different sides of your business, network and talking to other women has been quite important for you.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's the only reason why well, one of the not the only, but one of
Yeah.
the key reasons why I love doing this so much because I think that it's really thanks to all the support of, other well, mainly women in my case. Of course, I have my husband who's a supporter, but apart from that, my networks and connection are very similar to people like me who started, during the pandemic. So yeah, during the pandemic, I we got connected to a lot of people that you wouldn't necessarily have done so before the pandemic because that was not really an option or you weren't even thinking of that. But the pandemic enabled me to kind of reach so many people who were starting out at the same time. And I have an accountability group from that time that we are still meeting.
So cool. That really is so cool. Yeah, I think that's something that's so very important is that especially when you make the move from being in the corporate world to being an entrepreneur, or maybe not even being in the corporate world, but being a stay at home mom, for example, and then becoming an entrepreneur because you want to do something, but you still want to have that freedom to be there for your kids, you know? Um, the b- One of the biggest things that I see in my clients as well is there's still so much loneliness because we as women, we already tend to take on a lot more than men, maybe. Then
For
like
sure.
we love to carry the responsibilities. That's what we do. You know what? I can handle it. Give it to me. I'll take care of it. And then you start a business, and then you sort of feel like, oh, it's my business. I need to take care of this as well. And you're just building yourself full of things that you need to do. And I feel so very often that when we connect to other women that are also entrepreneurs and that are also running a business, there's so much that opens up for you, even if it's just, as you said, if it's accountability, or if it's sharing some hurdle that you're facing and you're like, I don't know, this is in front of me, I don't know how to handle it. And then you have these other women that come in and they're like, oh, but I've seen that before, I can help you with that, or have you looked at it from this way? Then it sort of opens your world so much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for all the other women who are supporting
Yeah.
me and vice versa, for sure.
There was something very important that you said a moment ago. You said, if I would have overthought it, I would have never taken the step. And that's something I wrote down in my notes as well to ask you, is a lot of women are trying to force clarity, are trying to sort of sit down at their desk and just going, okay, I need to think up something. This has to come to me now. They get stuck because you cannot force clarity. And as you said, if I would have started overthinking it, I would probably never have taken the step. Can you talk to me a bit about your intuition and what kind of role it plays now? Because we've already established that it played a role when you switched from being in the UN to being an entrepreneur. What do you do with your intuition now? Like, do you still use it a lot in business decisions, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really consciously think of it as intuition because I'm not like, a psychic, or I'm not that kind of, super intuitive person or anything. It's just, I'm just really following. I think I've learned because my past has been so, like, my background is kind of more logical and scientific. Like,
Mhm.
economics and stuff. So normally I used to actually, when I have to make a decision, I used to actually make a really pro and con chart. It's like pros and cons and write it
Yeah.
out. That's how I was thinking before. But I realized because I've done, several different postings in Africa, Asia, and every time I was looking and making a decision, I was doing these pros and cons. Okay, what is the pros of Nairobi versus living in Bangkok? And that's how I was making it. But when you actually get to this location, it was like these pros and cons were completely off. I mean, sometimes in a good way, sometimes completely, just off. I mean, it's just based on other people's stories or something. So it wasn't so relevant to me after all the pros and cons. But anyway, for in this case, strangely, I did not it was I don't know, I didn't even think through that. I didn't even make a pro and con chart for making a decision, which is more important than many of the other decisions I made using this pros and cons. So now I don't have a pros and cons, but it's more like it sounds so unscientific, but I really it's like which is going to be more fun and for me and I don't know. This is probably not the answer you want, but it's just literally when I think of the two options, do I do this or do I do that? Okay, it's like for me, like fun is so important. And it's like which is more fun and which would be kind of more, you know, because my I have these missions behind my different brands, and which would make me achieve that mission. Like in the case of sake, I really want to, be a part of preserving the 2,000-year-old art of sake. So, is this program that's proposed to me? Is this going to help? But I don't write it in a pros and cons chart. It's like, okay, yeah, it will help, and it sounds more fun. So let's do that.
Yeah.
This one sounds heavy. Feels like if it's a Japanese request and, speaking Japanese politely is really difficult for me at this point.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would hesitate taking on something that feels so heavy and not so fun. So it's just kind of I evaluate more in my heart rather than making is it fun? And I have my three North Star missions. So does it fit there? And if it does, yeah, let's do it.
That's so it's actually it makes a lot of logical sense when you put it like this, which is contrary to what you're saying. But
Mm,
I heard you say that making a pros and cons list is very external because you're very often basing it on external things that you've learned about something, while making a decision from intuition is way more internal. And I love how you tie it to fun, because I think that's where a lot of my people go wrong. We try to do something because we think we should. Like, I
Mm,
should really have a big following on Instagram before I can sell my digital product. It's stuff like that. And then from that point of view, you're trying to make decisions. But
mm.
if you really sort of push away that external thing and you start looking at into your heart saying, what's more fun? Like, am I actually having fun making reels on Instagram? Or am I maybe more of a writer? And would it actually be way more fun for me to write posts on Substack or something? Like, there's so many things that you would choose differently if you were to base it on what feels like more fun for me, and not like, this feels heavy. This feels something like I maybe don't want to do, but I think I should. So when you put it like that, it's actually, it does make a lot of sense, because you said, this may not be the answer that you want to hear, but I think it's actually the answer that a lot of my people need to hear, because why not lead with fun? Like, isn't your life supposed to be fun? It's your life.
Well, I love it, Ayla. You articulated so well
Thank you.
in an analytical, great way that I wasn't able to do. Yeah, exactly. I think it's so much important to have fun, right, in our life. And of course, we're doing this entrepreneurship journey because it gives us joy. And
Yeah,
if it's the
absolutely. Yeah,
opposite,
but it should be giving you joy, and that's, I think that that's a lot of my women who are doing this have just, as we discussed before we hit record, we already said, many of these women start a business with a big dream, and because they want to have the freedom and they want to have the time and the money, and then especially when they get through the first phase of where you're trying to build up everything and you actually get the clients, and then you need to run everything, and you need to do the marketing, and you have to serve your clients, and you have to do the finances, and it turns out you actually need to run a business. And that's very often where we get stuck, because then you get stuck in the things that aren't that much fun, but you know what, they're all sort of contributing to the dream that you're following, but still doesn't feel like a lot of fun. And that's, no, that's just such a shame.
no, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So
And I
you
love how you're able to articulate this, my random thoughts in a succinct way.
Oh, thanks. There is, before we start to round this off, we've already heard you say a few times that you have like several directions that you're going in. You have your sake business. You also can speak on face yoga. And that's maybe also rooted in Japan. I don't know enough
Yeah,
about it to actually claim that, but I imagine that it would be at least something Asian. And what I loved is that when we talked about getting you on the show, you mentioned that specifically for a lot of women, face yoga, to me, it's promoted as where you like stick a pen in your mouth and you move it up and down to get a shaped face. But you actually said face yoga is super important for women because we store a lot of tension.
absolutely.
And that was very interesting to read. And I was like, that's, first of all, how fun that you're so multi passionate that you can speak on like an ancient Japanese tradition. And then you can also speak on this one, maybe an ancient Indian tradition.
Well, yeah. No, Ayla, you're exactly. It's so face yoga is so fun and fascinating because, yeah, a lot of us don't even realize that how we're storing all so much of our stress and tension on our faces. So you're good. But a lot of us have what we call the RBF, which is the resting bee face. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like we store tension here on the forehead, frowning like this, uh, in between the eyebrow, furrowing
Yeah.
our eyebrows and then gritting our teeth like this. And
Yeah.
especially when we are, even if we're not mad, if we're just working on the computer, then if you check your face a lot of times, it's like somehow our faces are like
Yeah.
this because
You're crumpling
yeah.
down.
So that's what I really love about face yoga. So face yoga, My teacher is Japanese, but face yoga, I think, has been around. They say even Cleopatra did face yoga. So what I really love about face yoga is that even though I myself started face yoga for the external reasons, it's like in Japan, they say, take 10 years off with face yoga, this kind of thing. So that's how I, started my yeah, face yoga journey. And I wasn't, again, everything is completely organic because I wasn't going to teach face yoga or anything. I actually wanted to just, learn face yoga because it sounded fascinating and it made sense to me. Like everyone was laughing because I went to a face yoga training back in 2014. And at that time, face yoga wasn't popular like how it is now. But
Mhm.
so when I told my friends I'm going to face yoga training, and it's like, "What?"
Yeah, you can imagine
And
that.
yeah, my husband is like, "You're going from economics to face yoga?"
Yeah.
So it was like, but somehow it made so much sense to me because, we all exercise our body muscles, right? So we have muscles on our face. So of course we
Mhm.
could exercise our face muscles. And I thought, okay, I just needed to go on, just wanted to know what it's about. I just needed a 1 hour training. But the only thing I could find in Japan was like a 10-day teacher certification course. And there
Sorry.
was no other I just needed a 1 hour summary, but that was all there was, and I thought, "You know what? I think I wanna do this for myself." Of course, I never thought about teaching at that time, but so I went, and so I joined through more the superficial reasons, but as I was practicing face yoga, I'm a lazy face yogi. I only do, like, 5 minutes a day, which is enough, but, my Japanese counterparts, they do, like, really hardcore 20 minutes, etcetera. But what I noticed is that, of course, externally, it was great. I just saw like my frown lines, or when I was in the UN, I always used to people used to comment that I look so happy all the time. So I started frowning and to look
I'm
serious.
not happy.
I started to wear glasses and like frown during meetings to look serious. And doing that for 10 years, I got this two vertical lines here. But
Yeah.
with face yoga, I realized, okay, superficially, I mean, like externally, oh, wow, those vertical lines are going away. And I realized with this vertical line going away, I feel so much lighter because, of course,
Yeah, because you
all
lose the tension that's
yeah,
up
all the
there.
stress
Yeah.
I've been carrying on my face is gone, and of course, our body and mind is so connected, so if you release the stress from your body, you have a release of stress in your mind and heart, and just so good, so I kept continuing, and yeah, and then people started asking me, "Show us this crazy faces you do."
Yeah, of course.
And then again, it wasn't meant to be a business or anything, but I thought, like my close friends first. And then I gave them homework, do this for 2 weeks. And people were all of a sudden asking them, not to me, but asking them, like, did you go to Bangkok and do surgery or something? You look
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just the tension is gone from my
nothing.
face. Yeah.
And so my friends were telling their friends about face yoga, and somehow, like organically, people started asking me, show us how to do it. And so, yeah, it's like my other baby within my business. But so I have face yoga, my sake cosmetics, and sake itself. And that has been a struggle for a couple of years because, in a way, face yoga and sake are so unrelated in a way, and I felt like I was, juggling. I was, like, doing 2 completely different things with minimal resources, only 1 person. So, that has been my struggle until the sake beauty bomb. When I finally launched my physical product, that was the first
There you
time
have
where
them. They come together.
that was kind of the bridge after all the struggles for a couple of years, how to even I mean, even elevator pitches were so hard. It's like, "What do I talk about? This I have 3 things."
Okay, we
But
can
now
relax your body through giving you an alcoholic beverage, or we can relax your mind by relaxing your face. What do you want?
exactly. So now I say you can brighten your face and spirits through sake and face yoga.
Yeah. I love it. I love it how it comes together like that. There
Eventually, it was a long time until
yeah.
then.
But there's something that I really love about the way that you're going at this entrepreneurship is it seems like you have an overall mission to just share good stuff with the world because this is also how you created your facial, like the balms that you make from sake, because you mentioned first I just started it for myself, for my own family, and then I was like maybe I can share it with the world. And the same goes for your face yoga. You just started it for yourself and then you realized this is so good, I need to share this with more people. Do you have like an overall mission that you tie this into? Like, what do you want to accomplish in the world?
Well, I think in one word it will be to spread joy, because I
Yeah.
think since joy is contagious, and it's also I feel happier too when I do spread joy. So that's like the overall mission. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good because it's so many entrepreneurs out there that we I think we all have a calling, like people you want to teach something or you want to share something. You're like this is so good. And of course there are entrepreneurs out there as well who are like I just want to make money. Yeah, okay. Those are there as well, but I really love it when there's people like you who just want to share the goodness and share the joy. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Well, you again articulated and summarized everything so much better than what I said.
I used to be the girl who made the summaries of the material for the whole class, so consider me the summarizer. Before we round this off, Sharika, I have one last question for you, one that I ask all my guests, and some of them are like, "Oh, I have my answer present right away," and some of them are like, "What?" So I really wonder what your answer is going to be if tomorrow you
Oh,
had zero responsibilities, like, and I mean zero. Everything in your life was taken care of. What would you be doing for the day?
for the day. That's an interesting question. I have to think about it, but I think I will just be doing what I do normally in a way, because yeah. You mean if I didn't have to take care of anything and if I could do anything,
Yep.
what would I do?
Yep.
It might not be the answer you're looking for, but I would still sip my sake and
So that's then also something that relaxes you to do.
yeah, yeah, and then I would, spend time with my family, which I normally do anyway. But yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything that dramatic.
That's good. That's good. That means that you're probably pretty content with your life then. If you're not like, yes, if I don't have to do anything, I'm running away from it.
Although it took a while to get to this stage because I have definitely overcommitted in the past and, you know, done like too much juggling. So I actually, for the first time ever this year, I took a 2-month break. And after that, yeah, it was really quite tough for me to do that because it's like, really, I'm going to take 2 months off. I can't imagine, but everything was okay.
Yeah.
So after that, I'm making a much more kind of conscious decision how I have like 3 non-negotiable things I do during the day, and so I always would do that, and I would still do that even in your context of the question of if any nothing happens. I mean,
Would
if
you would you share the three non-negotiables you do?
oh, yeah, yeah, it's nothing dramatic. It's like it's 0 cost and it's nothing fancy. It's just basically I take my daily nap,
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
which is better than coffee. And then
Yep.
I walk for 1 hour a day with my husband. So that's like a way to, catch up and debrief everything. And then, of course, I do face yoga and sip sake, kind of a combination together.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good combination.
So it's nothing dramatic. It's not like I work out for,
Yeah.
whatever or anything.
Actually, I do think it's like dramatic in the sense of you're taking a nap, and that's something most women won't do because we're so like this is the external pressure again, but it's so not socially acceptable unless you have a baby because you nap when the baby naps, but then when the baby stops napping, you should stop napping too. And why not? Like if it's something you
Yeah,
enjoy, as you say, it's better than coffee.
yes.
If I If I sit down with a meditation for 10 minutes, I'll be much more refreshed than when I sip a cup of coffee. And I actually today we're recording this in the afternoon, and right before this recording, I sat on the couch and I watched an episode of Criminal Minds because tonight in the evening I have another guest recording. And I was like, okay, that means that from 7 o'clock in the morning until 9:30 in the evening, I'd be going nonstop. Like I have to keep moving. I have to do stuff. Like, where's my relaxation today? Where's my moment of just landing in my body and just chilling out for a moment? It's like, okay, today I don't have that. What can I do? And I was like, oh, before our recording, I actually do have an hour to spare. So I just sat on the couch and I watched TV and I was like, this feels really good. Um, and it's not something to feel guilty about. So I actually do find your nap dramatic in the sense that I think that more women should do it. And especially because it's not, as you say, it's not like I'm going to work out for an hour. No, you're actually tuning into your body and saying, this is important for me to do the rest of my day in the best possible way. So that's really awesome that you do that.
And good for you, Ayla, for your couch relaxation too. Because
Thanks.
absolutely, I think it's so important, right? Because when we're doing our work mode, it's like we're so go, 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 go. And if
Exactly.
we don't, peel ourselves away from that, it can really take a
Thank
toll
you
on
so
you.
much for listening to
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not That
so I
Kind of
love that
CEO.
that you
If
did
this
that.
episode
And
gave you
wow, so you're
clarity,
busy today.
encouragement, or just
Yes.
even a
Yes.
moment to breathe,
I had a
I'd
medical
love it if you
appointment this
left a
morning
review.
and I
It
was
helps more women
working
like
in the
you
waiting
find the
room because
show,
it
and
was
that
like
means the world to me.
the wait was so
And
long and
if you're ready
I
to
was
build a
working on my
business that
phone and
fits
then I
your
got
life,
home and I was like
you know where
making
to
a
find
meal and I
me.
was like, da, 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 da,
See
da.
you in the
No,
next
this is,
episode.
I need to slow down somewhere. So that's, yeah, that's the balance that we're looking for, right? And like that's one of the things that we become entrepreneurs, to have the freedom to say, I'm going to choose what's right for me. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, okay, Sarika, people are like, okay, Sarika's going to spread joy. I'm here for it. Where can they find you? Where do you want them to go? Go for it.
Thank you, Ayla. Well, first of all, thank you really for having me. I had so much fun talking to you.
Me too.
You're such a joy.
Thanks.
And to answer your question, yes, where am I? So my website is thesarika.com because sarika.com was taken by an Indian.
Anyway, you are the Sarika, so you claim that.
And my Instagram is sarika.sake.
Perfect. And then is there anything that you're offering right now? Is there like, do you have a face yoga course coming up or like a new beauty balm product that people can buy?
Oh, yeah. Oh, all of the above are available. I've got the face. Well, I only have two products in my beauty line. It's like the most minimalist brand. I have the Sake Beauty Balm and the serum, and it's available. It's 100% natural. And my face yoga courses are also available. Yeah.
That's so good. Well, I encourage everyone to just go at least hang out with you on Instagram and then see what you can do to make that face relaxed and shining again. Thank you so much for joining us today.